I know when I purchase something and it is very expensive, what I do is guard it jealously. The first few days of purchasing an item like this will definitely mean that I will sleep and wake up with it, after which I cultivate the habit of keeping it in a place that I consider the safest. But I guess this is not applicable to everyone. From evidence, some people have thrown really valuable and expensive things away. Although some have done this out of sheer ignorance, it still does not excuse the ridiculousness of the whole thing. In this video, I will be talking to you about the most expensive things that have been thrown away. Please stick around until the end. Before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything we post. First edition Harry Potter novel. I know I am definitely not throwing a novel like Harry Potter away. Never! If I ever get my hands on a book like this, you better believe I will be cherishing it as long as I live. But Reynolds did not think like this. Else, why would he have thrown this book away? Nigel Reynolds, at an interview with J.K. Rowling, the writer of the book, was gifted with a first edition of The Philosopher's Stone as a thank you gift. But Nigel did not think highly of this gift, so he binned it. Ouch! A book worth £50,000. He definitely did something earnest. I am still confused by his blatant display of carelessness. Motorcycle. Imagine you're taking a walk with your eyes roaming. It sets on a motorcycle worth a lot. What would you do? I think before making an attempt to do anything, what comes to mind is how an expensive thing like that came to be without an owner, right? Well, the story above is fiction. What isn't fiction, however, is a motorcycle being found in an old barn in Cornwall. A 938 Brow Superior 750 BS4 was sitting pretty inside an old barn. All thanks to the founder, the motorcycle found a better home via bidding at an auction. For a whopping sum of £300,000, the motorcycle was bought at a famous auction. Lottery ticket. When Edward St. John, a man who hailed from Massachusetts, found a lottery ticket in the bin, a ticket worth more than $1 million, things changed for him. I cannot imagine the kind of shock that hit him when he found that, or the level of joy that would have almost consumed him after it sank in that he had just hit the jackpot. I am not him, but if I were Edward, I know I would have been the happiest person on earth. Anyway, it was an expensive mistake after all. The owner did not intentionally throw it in the bin. I know it because afterwards, the owner tried very hard to get his ticket back. Of course, it was not easy. At the end of the day, he was able to win something worth $140 million as a settlement. It must have been such a demanding time for Edward, having to go back and forth with someone for something he found in the bin. That is a lot. Paintings. Paintings make the world finer and clearer. A painting on the wall, a painting in the room, and a painting in the office, among other places, just lights things up. But have you ever imagined what a painting in the bin would look like? Well, I know someone that will be able to describe exactly how a painting in the dustbin looks like. A cleaner in Italy disposed of a painting that he felt was of no use in the year 2014. He did not know that this painting was in fact an installation. When he realized this later, of course, he was shocked. Finding out the truth about the painting and seeing the painting being purchased for a sum of 10,000 euros was convincing enough. Hard drive. This story is a popular one. It made the news, so people from far and near knew of this when it happened, and everyone that had access to the story had only pity for James. Thinking about it now, I cannot help but pity him. Anyway, I hope that event didn't cause a dent in his progress for life. I genuinely hope he has been able to pick up the pieces of his life and move on for good. He was the man that discarded a hard drive without the knowledge that in the hard drive, Bitcoin worth £40,000 was in it. I am very sure that when he was about to discard the Bitcoin, the last thing he expected to be there was that. By the time he realized what he had lost, it was difficult and impossible to retrieve. Since he used a privacy key on the currency, he had no choice but to let go of such a huge amount of money. I cannot imagine ever having to be a James. I would be sad. It is such a terrible thing to experience. Early Apple computer. This version of the Apple product does not look the part. So, if you are one to judge a book by its cover, there is a possibility that you would think it was cheap and not worth so much. From what I know, this early Apple computer is a replica of a typewriter in looks. Who uses a typewriter typewriter anymore, right? This was what must have gone through this California resident's head when he saw it. I know I would have thought the same too, but this person did not leave it at just a thought. The California resident went as far as throwing the product in the bin. In her mind, this is where it belonged. But was this person correct? I'm afraid not. Although the person may have been correct to think that this Apple product looked very much like a typewriter, because it did. The person was very wrong to attach worth to the way it looked, because upon auctioning the product, it was found that the product was worth $200,000. That is a lot of money for something that looked like a typewriter, trust me. Violin. It's not every time that people find previous gifts in the bin, trust me. It is once in a lifetime opportunity that only ever happens to a very few people in the world. When it happens that anyone finds a valuable thing in the bin, I am always in awe of the mind of people. The only question that is on my mind is, what was this person thinking? To have let go of such valuable equipment and thrown it away instead of just giving it away has never made much sense to me. Whenever I come across stories like that, I create my own version of the story. It is always more believable that it was a mistake. When a man found this violin in the bin and decided to give it to his wife, he did not have any idea that the violin cost a ton. He only wanted to do right by his wife. So he took the violin to an antique roadshow to see if he could sell it for a new one. And he found out the most surprising thing in his life. This violin he found, tattered and old in the bin, was in fact worth a whopping £50,000. Wow! It must have shocked him the way I was also shocked when I found out. Upon further investigation, he found out that the violin was crafted by Giuseppe Pedrozzini. Diamonds. Who throws diamonds away? I have not been able to answer this question explicitly, so I have stuck with my own version of the story. I believe that it could only have happened like this because the person that dumped it in the bin was not aware. Thinking that a sane person would actually throw a diamond away is not sitting well with me, and I am not going to give it too much thought. So, how did we find out that a diamond was thrown away? Well, a security guard was seen trying to sell a diamond. When he inquired about the price of the diamond, he found out that the diamond was worth $5 million. Whew! That much? Well, that was exactly my reaction too. A sum of $5 million? He was asked how he stumbled upon that, because, no offense to him, there was no way his salary could get him to buy that amount of diamond. He said he found it after the diamond was thrown out. You see why I asked that question at first now? Who throws diamonds away? Blueprint of Freedom Tower. There was a time in 2008 that this Freedom Tower that everyone has come to accept as part of us was not a part of us at all. Yes, it was not built in that year, but the blueprint was definitely ready. It was very shocking that someone found the blueprint stashed in a bin in the city of New York. Who would have expected something like that to happen? And how did it even happen? Shouldn't something as valuable as that be kept jealousy by the people in care of it? These are the questions I have been unable to stop asking myself since I found out that the blueprint was at a time thrown into the bin. Although there was never a certain worth attached to this material, it was still very valuable anyway. In fact, the value was described as priceless by people who knew what it was made of. I think luck played out here for the blueprint to have ended up with an unselfish person or not in the wrong hands. A 35-year-old baseball card collection. This is about Jason Suter and his mom, Susan. Jason was in Manhattan when it happened that his mom, Susan, cleared the room he used as a child. Why was she cleaning his room if he was in Manhattan? Well, he had planned to come over for Mother's Day that year, so Susan felt like a great way to welcome her child for an event like that would be to welcome him into a clean and clear environment. So she did as she wanted and cleaned the room. Unknowingly to her, she had cleaned everything in the room, including the 35-year-old baseball card collection that was worth $3,000 at the time. It was when Jason came back that he realized that his baseball card collection had been thrown away. So far, I have been able to tell you some unbelievable stories about the most expensive things thrown away. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in our next video.